morning there, Wolfgang. Thanks for doing this. We're on session number 2 of his journey into WX. And today he'll talk about analysis, which is a huge topic. So listen in.
There you go.
All yours.
Thank you. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And thanks for joining us again in the journey into the WX series. This time we're going to be talking about the analyst. And
we call it analysis, you know.
Analysis. Okay, here we go. Analysis for you. Okay. The analysis is where we keep I think most people know what analysis is, but just to refresh people who don't know exactly what it's all about, is to keep a collection of data files defined, and then each data file which is defined there, we also describe the columns, and in WinDev's terms, it's items, which is basically the structure of the data files, and then within the data files, we also define the keys, what are going to be used inside those data files to speed up the indexing and finding of the information that you want. In there, you can define unique keys or not unique keys and composite keys, etc. if it's ascending or descending. And you can also define full text keys, etc. So which will go into it. And then within the analysis, we also define the referential integrity. And there's different types. You can have shared and you can have complex ones, which is quite nice from the dev side. You define it and it will create the many-to-many kind of thing. That's what the complex one is. Where a shared one is just like the normal parent-child type of thing. Then you can also define meta types. Meta types is basically defining beforehand what file, what that column or the data element you want to put in. In their case, they call it items. So if, example, I have a phone, you can define it beforehand that it's a string of 20 and it's a telephone number and it must be only numeric, etc. So which is quite handy if you have certain data types, which always seems to come across a lot of times in your tables. Then I'm going to show you also a little bit about how to import file definitions to make it a little bit easier if you want to pull it in from somewhere else. And then setting up the RAD. I personally don't use a RAD so much, rapid application development, which is quite nice if you want to start off a quick way, like from a previous development environment like Clarion. It just creates a whole outline, all the browse and update forms, etc. The reason why I still go into it and do it, if you spend a little bit of time getting that right, when you, as I say, plonk your edit fields and tables, etc., it does a lot of the work beforehand for you, and it kind of keeps a consistency across your web application in the sense that all your prompts and your headings and etc. is correct. And there's a lot more in the analyst, but I'm going to go through it by launching right into the application and create quickly again a dummy one. What are we going to do in a sense is create, let's call it a Rolodex program. I think some people from previous IDEs will recognize where I'm going with that one. This is why I want to go and use something quite simple like a Rolodex, that we don't have too many files to worry about and too many things to look at, which will confuse if you are trying to learn this new analyst system. I'm going to do a Rolodex because it's quite nice. We're going to make a table which is going to be a company, a table which is a contacts, and a table which we're going to categorize the people you put in. And the reason why we're going to do it is I'm going to show as we go along that it just highlights the different features of the analyst which are going to help you doing the program. So let's get going on that. Just close that up. Okay, I've got that open. Let me just close it again. What I'm going to do is let's just start from scratch. Did I type that right? Yes, I did. Once again, which is a good idea, we're going to create a project and we're going to call it, let's call it the Rolodex. while I go through this, it's kind of a repeat from last time, but it gives you again a perspective of how to create the application. And this time we're going to go a little bit further than just a hello world. We're going to go into the analyst more. So once again, the project name and the folder you want to put it to. Any documents you want to attach to it, which are going to help you develop it, your specs, etc. You can attach it here. We're going to do a Windows platform. We're going to stick to the 32 one by default. I'm going to use not use the source control management. We don't want to complicate things right now. You're going to still use a chart, program charter. I'm going to use that style. Average screen size, let's leave it as default. We're not going to worry about different languages. And did you know window, I'm going to just take off at the moment, not to complicate the scene. And then we're going to create a new database. Then when you click that, it's going to ask you for the information for the analyst creation. So we're going to name this analyst the Rolodex, and it's going to be in this subdirectory over here. This is a directory. It looks like a file name, but it's actually not a file name. It is a folder within your Rolodex project. Next thing, you're going to ask what kind of database you want to use. We're going to use the typical classic one for now, the hyperfile. And there you go. Once it's done, it's created your project, and it straight away launches you into the analyst section of your application. And you can see it by looking at the top and your IDE that shows you in the analyst section, and also by the question or the wizard, it's asking do you want to create a new one, a new table. You say yes, let's go do it, and let's call this table contact. The caption is this is what your physical name of the on your hard drive going to be. It's going to be
that's
contact.
the file name.
That's the file name.
So in SQL, would that be your table, right?
Your table name.
Yeah.
That's right. And then the caption is just what you're going to have on the prompts. That's what basically the description of the file. You can change it if you want to, but I tend to leave it the same. And this record represents a contact. So this is quite handy if you have a very cryptic one over here. You can put it over here as example, more generic name, like example invoice or something like that. If you have a parent-child invoice item or something like that, just to make it more clear what one record represents.
So that's like a long description.
It's not really a long description. You should kind of keep it shortish.
Okay.
Because the analyst, I'll show you where it starts showing and popping up everywhere. This particular wording. Oops. This particular wording. So you can say and invoice. Basically, you're trying to create an English word which just represents that record.
Okay. Okay. So the contact. If I used to use con, I could put con there, and here I put contact.
That's it. Yes.
And what about?
Or sometimes you have a very cryptic one, like example, con list or whatever.
Okay.
Then you can make it more generic here, which makes a little bit more sense when your debugger kicks in, or when you do your many file relationships, etc. That's where it comes in. I'll show you where it pops in. It's not so much what your actual end product will be. It's more what the ID will pop up and show where the problem lies.
So the word a contact is kind of a proper way of putting that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay. I was going to ask about prefix, like we're used to in.
Okay, prefix in it. Okay. There is no form of prefix in WinDev. They do not have the concept of prefixes. I'll show you when we get into the actual programming. Your file name is the prefix, basically. You'll put the contact dot first name.
Got it.
Instead of in Clarion, you would put con dot or double colon or whatever it is. I can't remember now. Yeah, double colon first name. So you don't replace the file name with a prefix. You leave the file name and you put the dot.
Okay, so use the Clarion dot notation too then.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay. Next question, next part is what's important is also you have to start thinking about your automatic identifier. It automatically creates one for you by always taking this first line and then appending this by ID when you create a table. So if you don't want it to create an automatic identifier, you just put none. If you want to create a generic one without any index auto increment field, then you just leave it as none. But then you got two choices. One of the 4 bytes and the other one is 8 bytes. Clarion World, the previous development, it usually was a 4 byte. In this environment, you can have the choice between the 4 and the 8 bit. Many times you look at it and think, you'll never get to that because 4 bytes give you, I think, 4 billion combinations and 8 bytes even more. You'll think, you don't need that kind of. But if you want to do replication, then it's a very good idea to go for the 8 bytes from the get-go. If you are just creating a generic small little application, you don't care about data replication, etc., you can leave it at 4 bytes. So just take note of that, because that was a little bit of a got you when you want to go to data replication. Then you have to go back to all your code and make sure this is 8 bits. Otherwise, your data replication will fail in your hyperfile data replication capabilities of WinDev.
So when you did SQL, did you pick the 8-byte then? Right off the bat?
Yeah, I go for 8 bytes straight away because from my viewpoint, it makes not much of a difference. From processing power, today's computers are fast enough, and I just take 8 bits because it will always work with the server replication.
Okay.
But also depends. Sometimes it also depends on the type of table you use. Obviously, okay, after I just killed it all. Obviously, it allows you to create a native XML addressing, etc. like that. Obviously, you're not going to have automatic identifier and stuff like that. So it depends on the type of table you're creating. Yeah, if this question comes up or not. Make sense?
Yeah, and the thing is, the automatic identifier is, can I have another choice of creating a GUID, or is it just those automatic incremented longs?
That's built in automatics. You can most probably have your own if you want to, but then you wouldn't rely on WinDev to do it
You
for you.
pick none, huh?
This WinDev does it automatically for you.
Like
Okay.
a GUID too? GUID?
I'll show you now.
Okay,
Let's.
cool.
I can't remember. I'll show you now. There's a few
Okay,
options
I'll
there.
be quiet.
Okay. then the next type is the database you want to develop. In this case, we're going to just use a classic, and then it's done. There you go. There's the options you've got here, what I was talking about. And you can go to the advanced and set up the other functionality, which I'm going to come back to just now. But that's basically the two identifiers you've got. There's no GUID as such. I think if you want to do the GUID, you'll have to.
No, I saw it in the advance. Click on the advance again. Look at the advance. Yeah, and look on the bottom. GUID of this item. Oh, that's different.
No. Don't get confused with. Okay. Okay. This one over here, which is very interesting. I'm going to sideline a bit here. This is got nothing to do with your GUID, which is your contact ID. So just to give example, let's go to the next line and go first name. Oh, why does it keep hitting the encapsulate?
Oh, I can.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I can see you're not doing
That's weird.
Postgres.
It's doing weird. Usually just works. Let's go first name. Okay, and there you go, and you decide to make it 10 text and 50 big. Now once again, if you go there, as soon as you go back again, it's created a GUID for it. Its system, it keeps tabs in the IDE as you put down the different edit fields and etc. That's how it knows which field you're referring to into your analysts. I was going to go down the road later on explaining this, but we can jump right now into it. What happens is if you go and change this totally the name, it still knows it through this over here. because that's what ties, that's a glue, what keeps the edit field which is on your window to this field, if you link it, that it knows is these two. Where Clarion, you've got a little bit of a problem in the early days. It didn't have this kind of thing. So if you change this first name totally, it kind of loses the connection between the database and what's over here. Where if you finished your analyst and you change it enough and you go and do a synchronization of the database, it comes back and tells you, hey, these fields have changed based on this GUID throughout the system. And it knows these have changed, and it'll give you suggestions of updating your windows.
Cool.
Make sense?
Yeah, I think they have it like that now because every line's a record for them, right? So they use the GUID.
Yeah. Okay, let's call company. Okay, let's do that. First name, what shall we do next on this one? Let's make a no solicit. Is it spelled correctly, no solicit? I hope so.
No solicit.
No solicit.
There's no E at the end. No soliciting. Okay.
Okay, no soliciting. Let's do that. And in this case, we go and make it a Boolean, and there you go.
So you go Boolean and not
Once
byte,
again,
right? So because it's true false.
yes.
Okay.
Just coming back here, you then define if you want to have a contact ID which is a unique key. As you can see, once you get to this point over here, you can then change it to say it's a key with duplicate, so you can have two people with the same name, like Arnold, and last name you can do the same and key it also. This one we'll leave it as a not key, so it does nothing over there. Okay, and then let's go and say company. No, let's just leave it for now here and say okay. We go back to WinDev, create a new one. I'm going to just cancel out of here. I'm not going to do that yet. All right, it wanted to do the RAD for you. It sees that there's a new table. It wants to go and create a whole Windows for you. Okay, now this is your one table which we've just created. And the interesting thing about that is if you look over here, the table, usually by the color, it also tells you what kind of table you've just done. If you hover it over, it also will give you a bit of an idea what table it is, hyperfile SQL. But if you go and look around, sometimes you see some people's as blue, and blue indicates it's a native access for data files for native accesses. If it's orange, you'll know it's a hyperfile client server defined. If it's brown, which is this classic format. If it's green, it's an OBC connection database. And if it's gray, that's an old hyperfile 5.5 or earlier. So this gives you a bit of an idea what it is. And then in the front of it, you'll have a key which just shows you this is a key and it's unique. If it's in bold, it's a key. And if you look just before the bold and you see over here is a key symbol, that means it's GUID or the not the GUID, auto incremented key. All right. This bold without the underline is representing that it is a key, but it allows duplicates. Okay, and the other little symbols in front, when you get used to it, this is telling you a string, this is telling you it's a string entry, this is a numeric, which is a boolean. If you let's go and add if you double click on it, we can then add a few more. So example, we can say creation date and created date. Let's do that. And you put a date and you choose the format of it. By default, I always choose that. And then you can put this last update. Let's say updated date. Last update. And you put date. And once again. Now, look over here. You'll see little symbols which showing it's a data entry. Okay, and if it's a time entry, it will show a little clock there. So you've got a good idea what you've got in front of the database. Now let's create another table. and you right click anywhere on the white space or yellowish color space, and you say new data file. Okay, or you can use this over here also. I think if you go here somewhere is a database file, you can do it from that basis also. Let's create a new description file. Let's just change tack a bit. Let's do something else. Let's just minimize this, and I'm going to quickly go projects, Rolodex, and your data files usually are created by default for testing purposes in the exe over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly just drag, which I've made a bit earlier, a category XML1 to show you how easy it is to pull in from another source your definitions. So sometimes if you can create a XML in, I think a lot of the SQL management tools allows you to create an XML formatted a file for a data structure, which you then can pull it in over here. So in this case, we got this XML. You'll see it's called category, and if you just look at it, I've just put 3 different records in just to show you. Number 1 is family, 2 is friends, etc. So we can name the different type of people, categorize them into friends, business, or whatever the case is. So what I'm going to do is over here, oops, just put it one side, and you've got 2 ways you can import it, or I'm a lazy programmer in a way. So what I'm going to do is just show you over here. I'm going to drag this right across onto the desktop over here, and you can actually then import it. Alright, that's as easy as that. Just by dragging it onto the desktop. I'm going to just make this, and then you've got a choice. Do you want to have it in the current access? So do you want to access it still in the XML format, or do you want to convert it to a hyperfile? I'm going to say let's convert it to XML. The XML into the hyperfile. So you pull it in, and it picks it up and says, oh, okay, it's a native XML, and that's the path you've just chosen the file, and you say next. Here comes a little bit of a story which you just have to carefully look. If you go to the category section and you go there, you can actually do a preview, and you see, oh, no, that's not actually the part of the XML I want. So, which is nice, because if you've got an XML, as you know, XML can have multiple tables defined inside XML, like an invoice with its line items. So you might just want to pick up the invoice part and ignore the line items, or vice versa. So it gives you the different structure. So this one is not what I want. So I just say, okay, fine. Let's kill it and go look at the next one, record, look at it, and then there you go. This is the one I want. So category ID and category. There you go. So you click OK. So you're on the right track here, and then we go in, start importing it. So when you click OK, it starts importing it, and it will create the file, the hyperfile file. So you create it, and at the same time also creates what we call a conversion program, which you can use later on. There you go. It's done. Just make this bigger again.
So when it says import, does that mean it imports the structure and not necessarily the data?
Yes.
Okay.
It imports the structure and the data.
And the data.
If you looked at it,
Okay.
yes, if you have data in it. Now, like example here, I don't want that name, so I can double click on it. As you can see, this is the fields, but if you want to get to the actual database file, you click on the top corner over here, the properties of the data file. Then it brings up the data file, all the different data files you've got. But this is the one we want to rename. So we could do is category, and the caption is category, and it's a category. If you pull it in, and there you go. Name on the disk, category, and there you go. An extension for hyperfile is FIC, so I'm going to just leave it like that. It is, and it's okay. Do you want to save the modification? What's nice about it, once you saved it and you say okay, it's there. Once again, if you go back, let's just go back to show you on the, it should be there. just to show you what I mean by that. Rolodex. And there you go. There's your XML original, and there's your, if I see, record table. I just wonder why I didn't rename. Did I rename it? No. Usually did rename it, but I think I actually ended up cancelling it by accidentally. As I was talking.
So if you try and rename it like now to like category with a K.
You can.
Cannot.
Yeah. What you do? Category. All right. So there it is.
No, but could I go back to the analysis right now and rename it to like record again,
okay.
and see if it changed them all?
Oh, okay. Yes,
and
you
then
can.
change it back.
What you do is, if you go right click
Okay.
there, list of store, no, one list of, where is it? There's a lot of, somewhere, it's a list of all the data files. Okay, I can't seem to find it, but analyst description. Okay, if I go there and you go there, you can go back to this file. So you want to say you want to rename it
Yeah.
again to
Right.
record.
And see if it changes it in the, oh, see, name on disk. I bet you that's where it is.
Validate.
Yeah. So now if we go to the file manager, File Explorer, it would probably show it to us.
There we go.
Ah,
And
it didn't rename it.
Okay. Well, let's just see if it might, because we haven't synchronized the project. Let's see if you go open a new file window just quickly. Sometimes when you have to resynchronize, there we go. There we go, synchronize project. Let's see. There you go. It's you have to do synchronization, I think. Automatic hyperfile modifications. You go there, and this is a subdirectory where it is, and all the files found are updated. So if you want to go to another folder which has got more data files, you can go and select it. The nice thing about this thing is you can add in as many folders you want where the update or synchronization has to be done. In this case, we just got the one.
Okay.
Okay, let's just have a look if it did do the trick. No, it didn't. Okay. They don't want to do that for us. For some reason, it doesn't want it. Category. Alright, validate. Just to show you, I'm just going to go out here and you go and look at the editor. They call it the editor data file was that. And then you come on. Yes. Why doesn't it show us? I think I have to resynchronize again because I changed it. Project. Okay. Should do that now. And go back there. Edit. Okay. Today I want to show you that gives me grey hairs. When you open it, it brings it up, but it keeps showing still as record for some reason. So we can go and browse for the file.
Carlos says, I think there is a problem. Go to Windows Explorer and look under Rolodex. I don't know what. Does not exist. Oh, because when we renamed it, right?
Yeah.
So you probably want to do your renaming
Usually
all inside there, right?
I think earlier when I said cancel, it wasn't.
So
Didn't
if you
pick it up.
delete that and re-import it in, would that help?
Okay, let's try that. Let's do that. What happens is you're going to notice something when I do re-import it. It's going to recognize. I'm going to just delete. Let's just delete all that. Okay, we're back to square one. But once you drag it in, the interesting thing, the analyst will pick it up now. As soon as you pick it up and you want to do the same name format, category, I'm nearly sure it will pick it up. We want it in the record format. And there we go. So next, start importing it. Oh, sorry, I left it. I didn't do it right. Import, I want to convert it if convert it already to a hyperfile. There you go. Next, I want to get the record just to make sure we got the right structure. Yes. Next, next. There you go. See, it creates it.
So you can see where it says right there, record FIC.
Yes. Yes. There it shows that's record FIC. Okay. Let's just leave it like that. See what happens. You should be able to change it because I used to change it. Alright. Record. That will be category. And it will be category here. And on the file, on the name on the disk will be that. So, okay. You want to save the modifications? Yes. Let's see. There it went.
Hmm.
No, it didn't. Didn't change it. Interesting.
You know what?
Okay.
Carlos says go to Rolodex. So go up one level. I don't know what he means.
Okay.
What do you, Carlos? What are you saying? I don't know. His mic was kind of.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but you got a lot of.
Very noisy.
I'm working on the same, trying to load some files, and I have a lot of problems. Some of the stuff that don't work, and in my case, it was creating the files under the root directory of the project instead of where I was telling them to create it. I was sending the files to Excel. Oh, what's wrong?
Wow, that's hard to hear. Whew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. For some reason it doesn't want to rename. But with that said, it's usually not an issue because you put it over there. If you double click, what I'm trying to get is if you look at that, there is a database. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at display file information, this is a GUI I was talking about. This is a file analyst which is belonging to. So if you go look at the file analyst and its description of it, look at this GUI number,
Right.
D33 on the end, and you look at there. So this file is linked to this analyst, and the GUI of that file ID is E72 on the end. Where's there we go. Okay, and it belongs to this analyst. So all these things are tied together. So if you create a database, even if you supply it to your client, it still got these GUIs, which ties everything together, which makes it works just like FM3. It just updates and it knows what to do. You don't have to do anything. It's built in FM3, but that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the XML is not working. Voila. Nothing is like a good demo.
But what you're saying is when you did it before, it you could rename it and it handled it.
Yeah, when I did the imports, I must say, I think it was in 17, which I've done it, and this is the first time I'm doing it, 18. So it might have broken, but I'm not too sure if it's just me or what. But anyway, but what you can do is, I don't think it's a real issue. In a sense, you can rename it over here to what it's supposed to be. But I don't know why it didn't in the first place.
So it doesn't impact it badly if you rename it on the file system.
No, what's quite interesting, because of these GUIDs, it picks it up and it knows it belongs to there and etc. I've got too many of these open now.
Here, so there's a logical names and all that other stuff. So it seems like you don't want to be naming stuff out in the file explorer. You want to do it all within.
Yeah.
There must be a way.
That's the idea behind it. Sorry?
Seems like you got to be careful about renaming stuff outside of their IDE. That's all I was wondering.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to. Let's just see something here. Just right-click, edit. See, it keeps saying. Okay, let's just do one thing. Just save it all. Go there. Try recompile the project. Sometimes when you go in and out, it does it needs to do, but sometimes it doesn't. Let me just go out.
Wasn't there a repair thing? Maybe that does it. Or is that just for the app?
Yeah. See, that is doing a multi-update. See, there it's changing the file's name. It must be modified.
So it knows, huh?
So this one, let's just do a backup password. Successfully performed, and it's cloud.
Yay! There you go.
There it goes. So it seems to be, it got a bit of a hang up because it's supposed to, because I know in 17 it did it for me, there was no issues. I think in this case you might need to just to exit it and then come back in again and then do that. Just give me a sec.
So any questions? Anybody there or comments? Did anybody run into issues anywhere here that need clarification?
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks like it didn't pick it up straight away and do it. So it does do it for you. Just a bit of a roundabout way.
And you fixed it by going all the way out, or you did kind of a repair?
No, I went all the way out because sometimes when you do, I've noticed if things a little bit hicked up a bit when you're doing this kind of thing, by just saying save all, exit, it kind of it puts it all in its right place. And when you open up again, then it's back being happy again. So if I go now, edit, and you must probably find there it is. No problem now. Okay. And if you look, drop down, there's your categories, no more a record anymore.
So Hal had a question, but Hal, are you going to say it or type it in?
I was going to say it, but I was waiting for permission first rather than just blurt in.
Okay, go ahead, Hal.
Go.
Okay, Carlos and I are working on a project itself where we basically built what we see here, but in the import of the data itself, where we're importing the data from a text file itself. It says it's being done. It says it's converted. You look at the record, nothing's there.
Okay, which record is it in Hyperfile or what are you doing?
Yes, it's in Hyperfile Classic.
Hyperfile. Okay. Did you look at it because it will always end up putting into the subdirectory of exe? Did you have a look there?
Yes.
And it's not showing it.
Carlos,
Okay.
no, it's
What
not
could
showing
be
it.
what could be is when you import it. Remember there was a little box where I showed that say you want to bring in the data also. If you don't tick it there, it might not. You might not have done that, and so it doesn't bring it in.
Okay, I'll mention to Carlos. He's not online, but
Just
the
check
thing
out
is,
for that.
it was very disconcerting. Carlos, who's been working with this stuff for quite some time, got rather frustrated because it wasn't doing what it was quote supposed to do,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was
Well,
very disconcerting.
yeah, as you can see, what I've done now is just what it is. It worked quite well. Let's do let's do um,
So does the text file has to be in a
let's try
certain format?
the text document. Let's call it companies, just for interest sake. I'll be interested myself because I haven't done a text one myself. So let's do company ID, comma, company name, and just leave it as plain as that. First one will be nice touch. What's it? Solutions, eh?
Uh-huh. Comma Inc. Yeah, put a comma Inc. See if you get a mess up in that.
First one, yeah. Comma
Inc.
Inc.
Period.
Then let's call mine in now. One of my products names, just call it that. And let's just leave it that. I think that should be fine.
Soft velocity? No, I'm kidding.
Okay, all right. Once again, it's quite easy. Let's just get back there. You should be able to just drag it in there, or you can use the import in here, but I tend to just drag it in. For me, it's easier. Importing the data file, it tells you that. Then next, it picks it up as a text file. Okay, next, the records are delimited by carriage return. The columns are delimited by tab. Let's just put it as a comma. It should be that. The strings are delimited by that. And your ink has got a problem. Decimal separator. Let's say comma. No. Your ink has got messed up with it. There's a good example of not working. Doesn't respect the comma within the column delimiters.
That's why I kind of force you to do that.
Yeah.
That,
I remember in the Skype channel, chat channel, that was an issue. That is a known bug as far as I'm concerned. Also, because I remember that also at one stage somebody mentioning it. I personally didn't. I haven't used CSV files yet. So yeah. Anyway, there you go. So that is
so
a
if we
problem
took
there.
the comma out, we should be okay. But maybe that's what they have. They got commas in their stuff.
That could be it. But it should bring
maybe
in still anyway records with some blank entries. I think. Next, name of the data file there, and then we can change it, and it'll be company ID there, and this will be a number. So you put it in integer, and then this will be.
So it didn't pick it up from the first row then, huh?
No, I don't think it's got that facility for that, if I remember correctly.
Unless you did it in XML.
No.
Not even that.
XML does pick it up quite
Yeah,
nicely.
so it's a text. You would have thought the text would have picked it up because it's the first row in it.
I just threw my stuff away.
Oh, no.
Company ID.
Sorry.
That's fine.
So can you add a field here while you're importing? No, probably not.
Let's try it. Who knows?
I don't know.
Company type, for example. Say 20. Let's go next. Importing. Okay, start importing. Now it asks you to create it. Next.
You gonna do it even with my bad comma in there?
Yeah, I wanted to see what happens. There we go, and then you edit. Oh, it did pick it up, even though it didn't show
Oh, look
there.
at that! Look at that!
The
No, the
only
ID number it didn't
problem.
pick in. The company ID it didn't bring in the one,
Yeah, I
and
see. So it should have picked it up. I don't know why it shouldn't have.
but it picked up the name. I'm
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah. So that didn't work quite the way it should be. Interesting.
Maybe there's a trick somewhere.
Let's just do a quick one more try. Let's just delete it out and quickly go.
Experiment again.
Yeah. Company. Let's just get rid of it. Oh, I just
Oh, you deleted it.
yeah, I just deleted. I just realized that. Oh, recycle bin. Hope my recycle bin is not too full. There we go. Restore.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness for small miracles of recycle bin.
Wait. Look. Can you go back there and look at that file? Let's see if there's something in there that would have made the ID number. Company ID.
It's
One
fine.
is quoted. Yeah. Why would it have messed up there? Okay.
Should be fine. Do you agree with me? That's
Uh-huh.
fine. Okay, let's do it again. There's another trick around it. I'm just thinking of forcing it to do what it's supposed to be doing. Is
Okay.
to import the data, and you put in, it is, what was this one? Delimited by a comma. And
Hey, look, it's showing it better now.
yeah, delimited
See,
by,
see if you see when you put that quote in there. Oh, see, that's when it threw it off.
yeah.
So if you take
That's,
that out of there,
but then you got, unfortunately, those delimited, isn't it? Delimited
yeah,
by.
no, but why don't you leave it off? Maybe
This one.
it
No, let's try
handles
it
it.
out. Oh, there we are. First names. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, see the ink here?
Yes.
The comma.
Yes.
So you got to put the comma quote in
You
there.
have to, yeah, you have to put that there. So it's not item 3.
Yeah,
It's
see,
just
so it's
it picked it
yeah,
up as
so
item 3. But once you import it, it seems to be quite happy. But this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to not say integer, say text,
mm-hmm.
and leave it. What did we say? Company type
Right.
over here. This time we're going to just leave it and
You're
just
gonna make
make
it
it
20.
also big enough, and
Mm-hmm.
make this big enough also. I think let's just make it 10 digits just to make sure. If you've got big numbers in, let's just leave it as text. There might be a trick around that by importing as text first, okay, and then
Okay.
create it. There's your conversion successfully in. There you go. And where's it? Edit. There it is now in.
There, beautiful.
Okay. Now, if you want to make it auto numbering, I would then go in and say now make it.
Down left, second to the bottom,
There it is. There it
second to
is.
bottom.
And then you save it, and once you save it and resynchronize it, synchronize data and deploy, update. Okay, then you got that. It should then update it for you. Yep, it's updated, and there it shows it is. Let's just look over here. I want it to go is in here. Edit the map. There it is. And if you look at display file information and you look at the items, still text here. So why is it still so text? Maybe it needs a project resynchronizing. No. I wonder if it's this one or that one. That one. One of them should update it all. Oh, there it goes back up. As soon as I see a backup, then it tends to be the right thing. I'm nearly sure it's not right. Let's just go straight here. Double click directly on the company. There you go. It's changed now to auto ID. Okay. And the number is intact. So maybe just from a point of view that you know, bring it in as all text first and then change it to integers or whatever you want to have. Okay.
So bring in his text, and maybe that might help Hal and Carlos.
As you can see, it did pull in the data. It's just that you have to make sure that you say you want it in, because if you kill the creation of the hyperfile table, it won't then pull it in, I think. All right. Anything else?
You know, I think in importing, I think I would name the import file the name I want. Just to make sure it goes in. Instead of like record, I would have called it category just to make sure.
Let's just go quickly and make this one also a key with duplicates. We've got it, and then over in the category, we're going to do another modification. In this case, that we make it unique key, and that is basically
French.
Auto incrementing. Okay. Did I do the other one? Is auto incrementing? Yes. Okay, so there you go. And category, we want to make it that you can only have unique ones because you don't want to have a duplicate on that. Now, to show the next stage, what I wanted to show is then you want to start doing parent-child relationships over here. That's the interesting part over there, in the sense that I tend to leave out fields which need to be linked till after I've created the other tables. So in the context field, I would like to show what kind of category. Is he a friend or a business colleague or whatever? So in the category, remember we created the table with 3 fields, which is family, friends, and business, which kind of identifies what kind of contact you've got. So I come back here. In this case, we go there and say category, and I say ID, and as a tab off it, it will say, hey, I've noticed you've used this particular field name or column name in another table. Now create that that includes the specifications, or do you want to have the existing description in this particular table? In this case, we wanted that one. So you say okay, because then what it does, it pulls in the information from that one, and it knows it's the same field. It's related. Okay.
Yeah. So you have to do it after the fact, and so you can't really
you don't
import
have to,
that part.
You don't have to, but it's better that way because then it straight away identifies with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the next one is the company when you want to tie that contact to a company name. So once again, we go in here and say company ID. But this time I'm not going to do it. I'm going to just cancel out of it just to show you another method of doing it instead of doing it straight away. Is by through linking. So if you say a new link for parent-child, so one company can have many contacts. So you notice it goes to a drawing pen. So what happens is I always suggest starting the parent side to the child side. Then you've got your relationship easily to understand. So parent, and then you anywhere in the box, click there. Now, what's interesting is it asks you a whole lot of questions, which makes your job easier when you want to do parent-child relation maintenance, what we call relationship integrity. Just on that, I'm just trying to find my notes here. I've lost my notes.
Oh, this cardinality stuff, yeah.
Yeah, cardinality. There we go. That's right. So what's interesting about that, you remember we were talking about the name of the fields and etc. So it is then using those words in inverted commas, what you call that basically. So each company has at least one contact. which is not necessary because you're going to have a company without a contact name in yet. So we'll say no. Each company can have several contacts, which is true. So we say yes. Okay. And then each contact has at least one company. So you can be very strict about it and say you can't put a guy in without having a relationship with a company, which in this case we're not too interested, so we say no. Each contact has several companies. In this case, we're not going to, but what's interesting, if you do say yes, it creates a many-to-many table for you on the fly if you want that. So
Oh,
example,
cool.
if you, yeah, which is nice.
So like a link, so a link table, huh?
Yeah, intermediate link table. So
Oh.
let's go and do that. Okay, let's just first do it plainly, just to show you how it's linked. Then what happens, you can create the caption for it. But you can even go further, which is much more interesting also if you have certain scenarios, if you have one-to-one relationship. So you can go and click this little one here, then you can actually go one step further. You can say each company has at least one contact. So the minimum must be one. So you can say minimum must be one. And each company can have several contacts. But maybe you don't want to have several contacts. You want to limit it only, say example, 3 per company. So the guy can insert 3 contacts, and when he does a third one, the system tells him, you've just reached your maximum. You only can put 3 contacts per company in. All right. And you don't have to write a stitch of code for that. Okay. In this case, I'm going to say I want it unlimited. And once again, each contact have at least so many. So you have to have a minimum. So a contact must be tied to at least one company, or whatever you want to say. He's only allowed up to 3. So it does it automatically for you. So it's just quite interesting. All right, so I'm gonna just kill that again. We say no.
It's like they thought it through here.
Yes. And also you can also drop down list here to do it also. So if you wanted to one-to-one kind of thing, that one company, one only there. In this case, we don't. We want every company can have 0 or many contacts basically. All right. And then from a context point of view, do you want him to be always tied to a contact? No, I would say each has last one company. It doesn't need to be tied to a company, and he can have several companies. In this case, we don't. Okay, so you say next. Then what happens is, like I showed you, we don't have a company name here. So it's picked it up that you've got a company name there, but now it's going to say select a unique key for the company. So it's looking in the company table and picking up and say, oh, you are tying company ID to it. But, oh, and it's making a suggestion, shall we use company ID in company? So without you having to type and do all that kind of thing, setting up, like we did with the category one, we just pick it over here and say next. All right, then it will create a new key, and then it will ask if this new key, are you happy with that? Oh, sorry, this is this side here, which is company ID key, which is asking you. That's a contact here. Okay, so it's picking it up, and then it says, okay, in the contact company side, what name do you want to use there? So you say, okay, let's create a new company ID. So next. Deletion rules, referential constraints. So forbid the deletion of one company who has at least one contact. So it stops you from deleting a company if you are having contacts there. If alternatively say, okay, delete the company and all its contacts, or delete the company and assign the contacts to a default one, okay, or just delete it and keep the contacts. So you've got different ways of handling if you're deleting one company. In this case, I'll say, let's keep the company if you still got one contact. It doesn't make sense taking the company out if the guy says he's still.
So that's like our old restrict, right? That's a the restrict.
Yes. Okay. And then the modification of the company. Yeah, again, forbid the modification of the company ID key if of one company who has one least contact. Well, the idea is basically if your company ID is equals to 1 and your context is 1, remember the ID is linked by the company ID. If you change it to what must you do? Must you allow it to change down, basically in Clarion terms, cascade down, or do you want to delink it, or do you want to assign another default value, or have no constraints? I mean, I can rename this and then just loses all the context underneath it, kind of thing. In this case, I'm going to just say no, don't allow it to change the contact company ID if you've got a contact underneath it. Okay.
Oh, you don't want to do cascade?
You can do it as a cascade, but why would you want to change the system's ID? Usually it's fixed. You don't want to change it. Right. I don't know. It's up to you.
Oh, is it that way? Okay.
It's up to you.
I must be thinking about it the other way. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the name of the link is constraint company to contact, basically. You can put any naming convention that's asking for the name of the link. So there you go. Now it's showing that's done, and you click OK and watch what happens over here. It is done for you. If you just shift it a little bit around, you can see the error. Parent, child. One too many.
But the company ID is not underlined, right? But it should be.
No, because you want to be able to have multiple company IDs into that one. If you have it unique, you can only put one contact per person for the company. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You want to be able to allow multiple people or contacts with a company. If you say unique, it only allows you then to enter one
to one.
Yeah, that's it. Right. Now, this one we've already linked, so let's do the same. One category can have many contacts. So once again, we can put a new link. Start by the parent, go to the child, and there you go. Same question. Each category. You can make a maximum and a minimum entries you must have before it accepts the relationship, which has got a slightly bit more checks and balances, which the previous one doesn't have.
So you did when you just brought them across, and then you just checked all those things.
Yeah. It just practically if you had in the previous IDE parent-child and it's got a constraint that you can't delete the contact if there's a company name still. Can't delete the company if there's a contact tied to it. All those kind of things, all the constraints which you would have, it's basically here. I just made sure it's all the same and then just went from there.
Okay. Hal has a question for you.
Wolfgang.
Yes.
Good morning again. We have data coming over rather significant. It's about close to 800 megabytes. And some of the fields in the table are date, but they come across basically as a blank or basically a null, because coming from progress, an unknown date, it basically is a question mark or null. And we're having a problem importing some of this information basically with a null date.
Okay, that's where it's a little bit on a topic on its own, basically importing. When you looked earlier, it created the WDL file, as you can see over here. Is it WDL? No, it's a what do you want to call it? A WDV. Which, if you look nicely, says description the conversion, which is basically a conversion program over here. And if I remember correctly, if you double click on it, no, I'm just trying to remember how we did it. I was actually checking my notes because I've done it about a year back. Can't exactly, but that's a description of the importing method, and you can actually work with it. Or alternatively, what we've done, we've gone a little bit a different way, and because top speed at that stage we didn't have that Clarion bridge what we developed. We just went to Clarion top speed and said export the whole box and dice, and then import it as a CSV file, and we found that worked quite well and quite quickly actually. And then you can put in your own conversion code that if you have nothing in that field, it defaults to a null. If you have a blank entry, it's your choice.
Hal, did that answer your question, or?
Well, not completely, but it'll have to do for now, because this is not the core direction that we're trying to head with this particular webinar. So I'll just defer the conclusion of the advice for another.
Or ask Andy on the Pete
Andy
and
has
Andy.
done quite a lot of that actually. They'll be better than myself, because I did it like once off and kind of forgotten about it. Got the job done and that was it. I think Andy and Pete have done a lot more conversions than I would ever done so far.
Yeah, I know both the guys rather well. I'll tell them that Wolfgang said that I'm supposed to come over and you're supposed to explain it.
No, just tell them what your situation is in Skype, and everybody gains from it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just tell them that Wolfgang and Arnold sent me.
Okay, I'm gonna mute Hal now.
Yeah.
He did it himself. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
The
direction I want to take. Good. Anyway, there is also talking about conversions just on the sideline. There is a W conver, they call it W conver, if I remember correctly. Tools somewhere. Look at the old menu, maybe. There is a program called WConfer, which also helps you with conversion, if I remember off my top of my head. Have a look at that one. That might also help you along. It's a conversion tool used to convert data from one file to another, and it's got quite a nice interface. It does text, XML, OBDC, OLI, and that kind of thing. And native accesses also. Clarion driver, not Clarion, WinDev native access drivers. So have a look at that one. If I'm just thinking off the top of my head, so that should help you maybe. Okay, just coming back to this, one thing you have to just be aware of. When you created the tables, it did ask you in the beginning stages, especially 17. It asks you if it wants to manage data files exceeding 2 gigabytes. I see that 18 doesn't ask you that question. So if you, there's a little bit of caution over here. If you check that 2 gigabyte limit, you cannot open these files in Windows 98 or ME or earlier if it's over 2 gigabytes, if it's on Windows 98 or ME. So if you know your database is over 2 gigabyte, possibly, and you want to run it on ME or 98 or earlier, don't tick this box in. But if you want to not cared if the client has a 98 or ME or doesn't use that, and they are fairly up to date with Windows 7, then tick the box, because that's always handy to have it, that you can go bigger. All right, just one of those got-yous. Next thing, I'm going to just go a little bit quickly on, in the analyst, you can create a bit of order in your structure, because if you're anything like me, you get quickly, horrendously, quite a lot of files, and it gets kind of messy. The nice thing about it, you can create in the analyst, just like in the procedure side, you can create what we call custom folders, and you can say this section is just all your accounts receivables, and then you have a folder here which then you can drag and drop these tables which you want to use into them. Okay, and once you open that folder, you will see all these files in there, and it makes it just a little bit easier when you want to have a bit of order in your life about it, and when you go look over there, and there it is. If you don't like it, instead of dragging one for one out, which you can basically by dragging it out and just drop it there and it'll take out. I've noticed if you just right click and delete the custom folder, it automatically takes it out and dumps it back into the main analyst folder. So, which is handy to know if you want to create a bit of order in your system. Another thing you can do is create notes into the system here, into simple text entry. So if you go over here and say title, my concerns for accounts receivable, say example, and you've got it here. But the only thing I didn't quite like about this notes over here is that when you do create custom folders, accounts receivable, and you've got over here, you drag two files in. Remember, if you leave any links which is linked through, it will show a line to this folder here. So when you go in here, you'll see the other two folders over here. But the problem is about the notes, what I was talking about, it still shows in this custom folder. So it kind of sits there on, doesn't matter which view you are in. I think my brain is telling me they made a mistake there. They should have put the notes to whichever custom folder it should be in. So I don't really use the notes, but sometimes you want to put a note and use it. The other things you can do is you can also create a layout looks and insert, like example, boxes and right angles, and which you can also put information in, and etc. So you can kind of jazz up the outlook, the analyst look and feel by putting into different things like boxes, ellipses, lines, and drawings, pictures. So just be aware you can actually rearrange your analyst that it makes it a bit more prettier. Then you can find your files and folders by doing that.
Hey, Wolfgang. So
yes.
when you were moving them into different folders and stuff, and you kind of lose the relationship stuff, that didn't bother you, or?
No, it doesn't lose the relationship.
I mean, it doesn't show it, is all I'm saying.
It should be there. It doesn't really lose it. Let's just see. Okay, let's just do that. It doesn't lose it. It just maybe
doesn't show it.
Yeah, I don't think it repainted the screen properly. Let's just pull one out again to show. And if you go there, it shows a link, and you go in here, and let's just say, can you refresh it? I don't know. Doesn't kind of.
Do you remember it showing the relationship inside of it,
yes,
pointing
it does
out?
show. Yeah, it does show.
Hmm.
Yeah, like this one, the contact is related to one of the fields in here.
Right. No, I saw that part, but going the other way, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, in the custom folder, it usually shows. I don't know why it's not showing. Maybe it's not repainting the screen properly. Can you refresh it? Good question. No, I can't.
Maybe if you go out, save it, come out, go back in.
Yeah, I'm just thinking now myself on that. Okay, it doesn't. For some reason it didn't. Let's just close it in. Go out again. Save.
But you would expect it that it would show it, right?
Yeah. I know mine shows.
Yeah, because if it doesn't show it, I almost like, oh man, I'm not sure I
Yeah.
want to do the.
Yeah, but it does show. If I remember correctly. Once in a while, just sometimes when you get to the analyst, it looks like this. Just and I've got you saying, I also thought it was like, what the hell? Where's the folders and files? Don't get a fright. It's actually just collapsed. So you just double click on it and it brings it back up again, just for your intersect. Doesn't show. Can you believe it? Interesting.
Yeah, because it'd be nice if you put like you have a folder that says here's all my
Yeah.
reference files, tables.
Yeah. There it is working. If you go back, it's not as if it deleted it. It's there. Custom folder. So accounts receivable. Just drag all three in there.
Yeah, it retained it when you brought it either way.
All three. Yeah, all three.
Yeah.
Let's just take one of them out.
Oh, look, that maintains that one. Maybe it's the type of relationship.
Yeah. Oh, there it is now. And there's okay.
But it doesn't show the relationship back out. It doesn't point back out. That's why.
Yeah, it's parent to child.
Yeah.
Because one category can have many contexts. Okay, it doesn't show back out. Oh, okay. I see what you're asking about. Okay, but just now it didn't show inside the folder the relationship between the company and contact.
Right.
Okay, so, but that it is working. I know it works. We just went out and back in again. And it seems.
Yeah, but that's because you have a parent-child there. But if you take the two children and put it in the other one or the parent out, then it doesn't show the parent-child relationship.
Oh, okay, I got what you're saying.
I was expecting somehow it was pointing outward or something,
Okay, let's just swap it around.
Oh, look at that.
Let's swap it around and say which one's got both. Company. Let's put company in. There we go. That one shows that way around. And let's take category in. Ah, okay. No, it doesn't show, but those two has got no relationship between the two.
Yeah, because there's no relationship between those two, but it goes back out that way. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, this is what I wanted to show today on that. The last part I just wanted to going back into our slideshow quickly. Is next week we're going to go a little bit more further about it, how to create a file if you want to do it on the fly. As a whole, you don't have to create the file in WinDev. As soon as you open it in your application, if it's not found, it automatically creates it. With that said, that all depends on your IDE, how you set it up over there. Just quickly going back to that, when you go to your project and you go to description, you've got your analyst here and you put it over here and you say create use existing analyst over here and it will do that. If you just use the default and you don't end up changing the connection or anything by using the connection, which in this case we're using the classic version, so it will then automatically create the files on the fly for you. Although you can write it such a way that you can create the files by opening it a special directory or whatever the case is. And you can put where the location of the data file should be. And as you can see here, you can also have in a document setting, which is Windows recommended way, or you can put it in the current directory of your application, or you can choose a directory where it should be. Okay. Does it make sense?
Yep.
All right. Then here is what I'm talking about. You don't have to do the automatic creation. If you untick this box, then you have to create the files if it's not there. So it has to be present when you are running application. But if you tick the box, WinDev does it all. Because everything with WinDev, it's kind of like a template language in the background, but everything is in the database can be overwritten, and you can choose when the files get opened, closed, etc. But I found they don't need to do that because WinDev does automatically in its code. I sometimes tend to untick this box if you have a database which you want to have multiple different companies or different archive directories, etc. So you might just want to untick this and then create it on the fly as you create different archive information or changing subdirectories or whatever the case is. Just getting back to over here also on the analyst section, if you go to the description, here again, if you go to the details, one of the two things you must notice over here, if you do a runtime password, this is a password that then will be applied across your database, which will then encrypt your hyperfile files. This file over this editor password is to do with the protection of your analyst. So if you put a password in here, so example 1, 2, 3, 4, and you save it, and you come out and come back into the application, as soon as you hit the application analyst and you open it, it will ask for this password over here. That's what this password is for. Okay, so if you want to modify the analyst, which is handy, because what happens is if you want to distribute if you do source control management and you don't want anybody to mess around with the analyst, but to be able to look at it, not get to it, and then you can password protect it over here. It's another password which is separate from your project password.
So the project runtime one, you would be opening and closing it in code then with the password, right?
Yeah, no, this one, okay.
Or is it like is it like an encrypted file in?
If I close this project, save. I should have actually. Let me just do this.
Exe, man.
There you go. If I go now into it, because I've closed it, as you can see, it's closed. If I double click on there,
There's a
the
lock.
analyst, it opens it up. But if I go and put in over here the password there, this is a password for the analyst access. The runtime password is you encrypt the data files itself. So if I go over here and I say close it up again, save it, and I go back in again, you'll see it will ask for the password. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're back in again. Okay. That's what this password is for. So you can encrypt all your data files on the fly by using this runtime password.
But that's for the entire database. You're encrypting the entire database.
Yeah.
Versus one table. But you can do one table at a time too, right?
Yes. This is where if you look at the, let's go back in here. If you look over here, when you if you open in the file, you use open connect, and in there if you use the star, it then will apply. If in the open connect, you can define which files. Let me just get that open there for you. You can define the connection name and then the password over here. So if you go and open the file, this is just open the connection, okay, and the database, and if you put in over here, I'm just trying to find it now. Let's go, it's data source, database over here. That's the database you want to connect to. And that database, oh, by the way, you can also create a database by using the custom folders. So you can put some folders into it, and then when you do the open, it will connect to that custom folder all in one time. And that's a nice thing about it, where you define which files you want to open up. Like example, the connection name, data source, and then it'll tell you the connection database. So if you no specified database, I can't remember where it is now. Somewhere you put a star and then it'll open up all the files in that custom directory, or all those files which is found in that directory using that connection in that folder, basically. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you also can change a connection, which is quite nice. Once you open the connection, you can change it to a subdirectory, which you was talking about earlier. So you can have, say, example, tax year end for accounting system in one folder, all the archive all the transactions in there. Then you can have another year and another year, and so you can change it on the fly. And then you can also close a connection. But most instances, if you haven't got any fancy considerations like that, you don't actually end up using open connection and that type of thing. You define it in your project level where the file is supposed to be, and then you just forget about it, and WinDev handles it all for you. The reason why I'm mentioning it is that in case you want to do that kind of thing, look at these commands. Managing the records. You've got the different H commands to add, modify, delete, and cross is like delete. Cross doesn't physically delete the file out of the system. It just takes it out of the keying system, and the file is still available. It doesn't get packed out, etc. It's sitting there. But the referential integrity, basically the key links, is removed basically out of the key lists.
So cross is like tag for deletion?
Yes, tag for deletion. But even though when you pack the file, I understand it doesn't remove it or get reused. Where delete, it gets marked as deleted. The record sits there. When you do a next add, it will then use that space up, basically. Where cross, it will not. It will sit there on the hard drive still.
Got it.
Okay, managing the records in memory, you've got hreset, which then clears out the whole data structure or the record. Then you've got nice fancy tools which help you transfer the information from the screen to the file record and the file record to the screen. So we'll go into that next week. I would like to go now, but I'm not going to go. All tempted is because that's quite a bit to show how it's done. Then you've got different managing of the records as hseek and etc. hread. The difference between some of them is what in Clarion terms you call set and next, and the other ones is a get statement basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between there again from the read, the ones which says read, it actually reads the full data into the buffer, where seek, it just retrieves the record pointer basically. That's the difference. So if you ever do a hseek first and you get a record pointer back of a 1, it's what WinDev refers to. Let me just see if I can get that. Just open a quick database here quickly. Just to show you Rolodex. Where is this? I've got category. Now hseek and that is what they call a record pointer number, which is automatically a record number over here. And seek as a whole, if it doesn't have the word read, it doesn't read the full record buffer into the database, into the memory. And that's where I think a lot of the guys in Skype chat channels say, hey, I've done this and this and I don't see my details, which I'll show you next week. I'm going to write a little application which shows you the differences, which will maybe help and gel this set next and get kind of thing. All right. And that's basically that. And that's what I wanted to leave you with, the idea that you can have a look at those commands for next week, where we're going to go into it, and then I'm going to play around with it and show you what's the differences. And then from there, we'll do the application.
And that will be series number 3.
Yep. Oh, that's not
today's number 2.
Yeah, I keep putting 1 there. I don't know why. It's number 2. Sorry, guys.
Well, I didn't want people to get confused, so today was number 2,
yeah.
And that the stuff he's going to cover is number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Hal has a question again.
Yes, if Carlos wants to look at this later where you showed all the data, so forth and so on, how would he access this particular event that we're experiencing today?
At
Is this number 77?
wxlive.us.
Is this number 77?
Is the recording number 77?
What, your first one? Here, just do you mind just open up the browser?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
there
just
you go.
Yeah.
That's where you go, and then I'm already registered.
Yeah, you don't have, yeah, you logged in.
Register. You register firstly if you haven't registered, Hal, and then you can go and look at the recordings over here. And this will be recording Webinar 079, which we're busy today. And when you get to here, you can go stream it, and that will be sitting right here.
Yes, I'm registered. Yes, I'm logged in. Yes, I understand. I was just double checking, not only for me, but possibly for other.
Yes.
Yep.
Anybody, I'm sure Arnold will approve you once you register.
No, they get approved automatically unless they do something.
Okay. All right. Okay. And that's where you can get it. Arnold, just give Arnold a day or two to get it up. Otherwise, you've got it there.
Yeah.
Any suggestions? Are you happy with the way the direction this is going? Does it answer some of the questions? And Arnold, starting up as WinDev, hopefully give insight to that, makes it easier. Get going.
Well, I like getting into trouble because, well, it helps people realize how to work around things or how you look.
That's the reason why I'm not going to do much of the stuff beforehand. When we get into the Rolodex program itself, I'm going to do it on the fly, on a seat of the pants, just to show you how it's all put together, and hopefully it gives you insight how to get your application going. The basic sense, you know.
Arnold, when you have these, like you said, you like to get into trouble and all this. We know them in our little shop as MacGyver moments.
Definitely. We do that all the time. But, the experience comes from how to debug things, how to get yourself out of trouble, and when to stop and ask for help. But sometimes
there's so much in WinDev that sometimes you go down a garden path that you shouldn't be going because it's there already for you. And that's the amazing thing about WinDev. Every time I think I have to do something seriously, I find there's a easier way around because somebody's already forged that path. It's just asking if you don't know.
And I guess what do? You look at the help. You look at the you do.
And
the
I look at these recordings. I go in a lot of the WX Live. If you
can
really
do a search, right?
That's it. I just go into this page over here and say, search for, say, example code. Bricks, for example. I think there's one of them.
Yeah. See, so one of the things I try and do is I try and put keywords just to make sure. And so if you can think of other keywords that I have missing, just put it in Skype and say, hey, can you add that keyword? Because I was looking for this thing. It took me like 10 minutes when I didn't have the word. Come on. So help me out.
Yeah.
Help us all out.
And there's a lot of resources around.
Yeah, go to the first page. Yeah, go to the home page, if you don't mind. Just go back. Just hit the back. Yeah. If you go to the home page on the right side, it says resource links. Go down a little bit.
There's other links. That's right.
Yeah, there's other links.
There's a lot of other, which is really good links.
So
like,
just
Pete's page,
blog, and then stuff.
Blog and forum. We've got really good some articles there. Yeah.
And if you know of any others, let me know, and I'll add it to the list.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for attending, guys. I appreciate it.
We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks.
Yeah, Wolfgang,
Pleasure.
thanks for doing the effort of sharing this thing.
Hopefully it helps.
Oh, I think it does. So, alrighty.
Definitely.
Enjoy your weekend.
Okay, I'm stopping.